show tonight. It's going to be a good one. Oh, let's load these last couple of things and we'll see what happens. Oh shit. That's not what I want. How do I get rid of that? Oh shit. Oh, g'day all you lovely people out there. I must have pressed the wrong button again. It's getting harder to do these little funnies at the start. I'm running out of ideas. So whack them in the questions if you do have any ideas for my little gag at the start of each show. I've been really looking forward to this one. Drew has put a real mozzer on me. I only got my copies of the book today, so I've been trying to punch through as much as I can on the book, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I have to talk about the Pay It Forward campaign. It's going great guns, and we've drawn this week's winner, and it's Jackson Durow, who was nominated by Bo Everly. So, Jackson, your pack of lures and stickers will be going out to you this week. If Bo, if you can get me the details so I can post that out, and we will have another prize pack go out for everyone to try and win some more gear. I'd like to thank all the donations from the fishermen for giving that in. I put out a feeler this week about sponsorship and how to go about it, and I got really good feedback about that. So you have to watch next week's show to find out what is going to be going on with the big announcement next week on the Pay It Forward on Steroids campaign. Tonight's guest, we're really looking forward to. Who have we got on already? We've got Shane, Jeremy, David, Brian. G'day, Brian. Jeff, David, Bo, Matthew, Joel. Oh, we've got everyone on. Matty, how you going, mate? And, of course, Harry, my favourite supporter there. Damien, g'day, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm going to bring the guy in. Obviously, this guy has written a book, and when I say a book, it's probably not the best definition of it. We've had everyone tell me that it's a Russell Coit sort of fishing book, but I call it more a Forrest Gump fishing book. The gags that these boys get up to in the book is just sensational. It is like every fishing trip I've ever been on. So really looking forward to it. But let's talk to Drew now. So I'll bring him on. 3, 2, 1. G'day, mate. How you going? Oh, look, I've pressed another question. There we go. We'll get your microphone working. Try that again.
G'day, Corey. How you going? Hello, everybody.
Good, mate. It's good to see you got a beer in your hand. Listen, the book itself, The Idiot's Guide to Angling and Dangling, for everyone that wants to see it, this is it. It's arrived in most people's mailboxes today or tomorrow. You had a bit of a waylay due to COVID issues, and you were hoping to get it out before Father's Day, but it is now in everyone's mailbox or on the way.
Yeah, thanks for having me, first of all, Corey. And I did put the mockers on you a bit by getting them out late. But as they say, mate, pressure makes diamonds, and you're about to create. Well, we hope so anyway. But, 2020 struck again, and we were meant to release for Father's Day, but that didn't quite work out. So the show must go on, and we'll go for it now and get them out to everyone. And with summer running hot, we'll get them out for Christmas, and hopefully everyone can enjoy. Oh, we've got Mark Cook popping in there.
Yeah, Mark's in there. Mark's a regular on the show. Listen, I have to say, I'm really blown away by how you've been able to fit Australian history into these fictitious characters' lives and made it fit as if it actually really happened.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I guess I'll explain a little bit to everyone watching who probably doesn't have a copy in their hands. So essentially, it's called The Idiot's Guide to Anglin and Danglin, but look, it's just a bit of a piss take. It's Russell Coit meets Warwick Todd. I don't know if you remember Warwick Todd, the old Cricket Diaries, sort of. I think it was Tom Gleisner.
Yeah, Tommy Gleisner, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? And yeah, it's sort of along those lines, the Billy Birmingham sort of style. I really grew up like we all did with that sort of Australian comedy, and we were talking about this the other day, Corey, and how that classic, iconic, real almost Eric Barner. So I'm a bloody legend, Yeah, I know boats, and look, that's really where it stemmed from. And so we went about creating two characters. So we came up with Barry Jeffries and Roy McCoy, and two classic. Sorry, I'm just getting told to tilt my camera down by my missus. She's obviously watching. Beck. Yeah, and so we went about sort of setting up these characters, and I got Terry Danaher, AFL sort of premiership captain, dual premiership captain Terry Danaher, to play Barry Jeffries, and well-known comedian and sort of media personality Limo to come on board as Roy McCoy. And mate, they were great. I've got to be honest. They were fantastic, and they just understood right from the start. Terry basically didn't have to do anything. He's pretty much the character anyway, which is a funny story. We went out on the boat to go and get a bunch of photos with these guys, and I'd spoken to Limo before, and Limo's he's a professional, and he understood. He read the book, and he loved it. He said, "Mate, I get it. I know exactly what we're trying to do here," And then we get out there, and Tez goes, "What do you want me to do, Drew?" And I said, "Tezza, you just be yourself, mate. You just do what you do exactly." And there he is, there popping up on the screen.
I'll get a better one here. I've got there's Terry looking as fit as a Mallee bull. How old's Tez now?
I think he's 63.
Yeah, and looks like he could still play centre forward for Essendon. Yeah,
well, in the current setup, I reckon he'd get a gig.
I'm an Essendon supporter. Be careful, and you're in the Essendon family. So we go Australia wide. So for those guys that are going to start commenting aerial, get off the aerial ping pong and all the rest of the stuff, we are going to be talking about the Manly Sea Eagles later on, and how Limo's character become a bit of a stalwart at Manly as well. We, the book just covers so many different avenues. You're talking Sheffield Shield, you're talking AFL Grand Finals, NRL Grand Finals. You fitted him into the America's Cup. How they've changed and made the America's Cup the winning cup with Alan Bond and the winged keel. I mean, how did he come up with all this stuff?
Well, essentially, so we came up with these characters, and of course, they're fishermen, celebrity fishermen, and that was really, I guess, to take the mickey a little bit out of your Rex Hunt sort of ET style characters. But they had to be larger than life, and they had to have a backstory. Their status as celebrity fishermen could only be outweighed by their own sporting legend, and so that's how it sort of came about. And and we created this backstory, and obviously, it was a bit easier for Terry having the Essendon story and the photos to go with it. So that was a little bit easier to do, but it wasn't his biggest accomplishment, winning 2 premierships with Essendon. I'd have to say that taking out the thong throwing competition in Whyalla probably just overshadows the AFL premierships.
Oh, yes. Look, there are so many stories that I would love to sit down with that whole family and, crack out a bottle of bourbon or rum and just sit around with the 4 Danaher boys and mum and dad. And you're living every Essendon supporter's dream. You married into royalty, mate.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be careful. She's watching.
I'm quite lucky on that front, but no, they're a good family. They're a really good family. But Tez plays the part beautifully of Barry Jeffries, and then on the other hand, we've got Roy McCoy, and his sort of sporting prowess and history, is as long as your arm as well. Funnily enough, Roy, this is Limo's character, Roy McCoy. he was a bit of a rock star, a bit of a sex icon in the 80s, and as you can see, some of the photos, if you've got some of them there with him with a mullet on.
I'll bring up some photos that I'll get him. As I said, I'm not the greatest on the computer, and we were sort of struggling for time. But here is let's bring this one up. Here he is at Hawthorn and with Manly.
Well, as the story goes, 1983 was a great year for Roy McCoy. He was selected, and being the rockstar AFL player he was, to play for Hawthorn in the grand final. But he became the first or the greatest player to miss out on a grand final due to car trouble, mate, which was very unfortunate for Roy McCoy, as the story goes. But, and then he had a little bit, probably too many commiseration beers that evening, and missed his flight to play in the NRL grand final the next day. So
he was, 1983, destined to play in the NRL and the AFL grand final, and managed to miss both.
This is just part of the calamity of what Barry and Roy get up to.
And yeah, as I said, I've just thoroughly enjoyed it today, just reading through it. It's the type, when we say a book, you can pick it up at any time and just flick to a page and have a giggle. I had lots of giggles today, but it's my era. It's what I grew up with. I think of 1983. I think America's Cup. I think of, Essendon Hawthorn rivalries, and everything that happened through the story, I really can relate to. So I think it's really going to hit the age group of everyone that's in sort of that 70s, 80s sort of baby childs and
the real Australiana sort of, we tight shorts and, drink a Forex. Not many rules back in those days. I was only pretty young, I must admit, but it would have been a great era to be to be a young buck through, I would have thought. So I'm just reliving it now through Barry and Roy on paper.
Oh, look, it is such a good read, but I want to know, like, I am now 6 months into my little venture here with Chewin the Fat. I try and get a regular guest on each week and find it very difficult to get a guest. But you've been able to get in contact with these names. Let me name some names in the book. So you've got Mark Berg, Rex Hunt, E.T., Merv Hughes, Andrew Simons, Matthew Hayden, Dick Johnson, the Arden Street Anglers, which I want to talk about later, Danny Green, John Bertram, Alan Bond. There is, and the list goes on, how you fitted all these people into one book.
It was hard getting on to Bondi. He didn't answer his calls. No, honestly, we do have cameos in the book from all these guys, and with their blessing, of course. And part of it was, and I keep sort of going back to the characters of Barry and Roy, but and we'll get on to fishing. I know it's a fishing podcast, but part of their characters, I said, they're a bit larger than life. They're mates with everyone. They know everybody. These guys are Aussie legends. And so we sort of had to prove that, and have them in scenarios and out fishing on the boat, with Rex Hunt, with Andrew Simons and Matty Hayden and whatnot. So the task was to get onto all of these people and say, hey, do you want to be in my book? And, mate, I've got to be honest, they were all fantastic. Danny Green, I don't know if you mentioned him.
Yeah, no, I did. Danny Green in there, yep.
He's actually quite a big fisherman in his time off when he's not punching the shit out of a bag. E.T., as you said, he was great. Rex Hunt was absolutely larger than life, exactly what you would imagine Rex Hunt to be. I called him up. He didn't know me from a bar of soap. And I just explained, explaining a book like this is not an easy thing to do. And you sort of have to get your elevator pitch down pat, and I sort of 30 seconds, Rex, this is what I'm doing. I'm writing this fishing book. Basically I want to more or less take the piss out of you. Are you up for it? And and it was really a bang or bust sort of situation. He's either going to say yes or get sort of thing. And he came back and he just said, mate, I love it. absolutely, go for it. What do you need? And I said, well, I need a couple of photos, and I just need your permission to use your name and your image and whatnot. And and next thing, an email came through, and he just signed a bit of paper and just said, I give you the right to use my likeness, my name, images of me. You go for it. Which was just, well, there were certain things along the way, and you're doing this now, setting up your podcast, and well done too, by the way. Congratulations, mate. Like, it's a great thing to do. I love these comments. Yeah. And Mighty Eagles supporter, Greenie, there you go. How good's that? And it's not easy, and you've got to be determined to get to the finish line, and you're going to have things that are going to come up and make it hard, and speed bumps. And I thought, for all money, well, I thought the first person I called, was going to say, no, mate, bugger off. And they've all been fantastic.
It's amazing. You put yourself out there, and sometimes it just works.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, but it's rewarding though. And now, I've bloody released this book, and I'm really proud of it. No, I just want people to pick it up and read and have a laugh and understand the purposeful idiocy and humility that it's meant to be. It represents that iconic Aussie battler, Aussie idiot, really.
Look, it does, mate. And it, look, as I said, this show's always been based on, the campfire. It's like sitting around the campfire having a chat. So we've got everyone out there listening, and they're listening around the campfire. We're talking about this book. But every story in the book resonated with me. There was some play or campsite or venue I'd been to, and I thought, I've heard this story before. My mate's done this. I've done this. Everyone's got that one mate that is Lemo's character that just is the best, or has the best of the best, does the best of the best, but is so stupid that he can lose his boat in a game of cards.
Yeah, old Roy McCoy. He's gone. What's he up to now? I think he's on his boats are called the Real McCoy. The Real McCoy 1, Real McCoy 2. I think he's up to the 7th now, and it tells the tale of how he's lost each one. And like you said, I think it was the Real McCoy 2, which he lost over the poker table to Rex Hunt, and probably a low point for Roy. But knowing him, he just dusts it off and go again. On to the Real McCoy 3.
So we've got a question here. I'll just get rid of these ones, and we'll go back to a split screen. I'll make myself smaller. So we've got Jordan Stoddard. So where can we get this book? Jordan wants to know where he can buy the book from. And I see Beck's been in the comments and put your website on there. So that's anglindanglin.com.au.
Yeah, jump on that. Angling and Dangling or Anglin Danglin. They both go to the same place. And you can jump on there and grab one, Jordan. Thanks, wifey.
Yeah, she's done that really well. And we've got the questions coming through. Don't forget, I'm giving away copies of the book tonight. So if you want one, we've got one going away for the postcode. So make sure you're whacking your postcodes in. I want to know where everyone is in Australia while they're watching the show. It gives me an idea of what sort of guests I get in the future. And we're going to give away another one for the best question of the night. And Mark Cook wants to know when's the next book? Is there plans for another one?
I love it, Mark. That's ambitious. It was hard enough getting this one off the ground. It's about 10 years worth of work there. I don't know if you might have to ask Beck that question, to be honest.
Depends on the success. It might be a roaring success. Everyone buys one.
Yeah, if we all bloody buy one, we might get a second crack.
Yeah, that's it. Now,
I'd love to, mate. I'd love to, but we'll see how we go.
That's a great question. Keep the questions coming in, guys. I see Benny's got his copy. We've got a few people who said Dale Sinclair, which is a previous guest on the show, said he's turned up in the mail today, which is great.
Benny Russell there, great friend of mine, jumped on. Hello, Benny.
There you go. There's people from everywhere. We've just getting the postcodes through. Harry, my son, he's 11 years old. He's sitting inside. He loves Dad on the old YouTube, and he watches me inside, and he'll pick the postcode winner. So make sure you whack your postcodes in if you want a copy. Drew has luckily enough sent me up, so I have some copies of the book to give away. What's to go with the Saints mug, Corey? This one, well, I've just got to get on the Saints bagwagon because Essendon's not going to make the finals. Got to go for the underdog. There you go. David's got a great question here. What was the driving force behind doing the book?
Good question, mate. Look, there's a couple of aspects of it. One I touched on before is that I've always had a great appreciation of Australian humour, and that real take the piss out of yourself, take the piss out of your mate kind of thing. And I've loved that. And I think that, that was my I grew up in Orange in New South Wales, and that was my growing up, and my dad was really like that. Took the piss out of everyone, and himself included, and me and my brother. And I just think it's hilarious. So I always wanted to create something like that. And I guess where the actual fishing part came was the mates and I we went on a trip up north once, just north of Gladstone. It's up around the sort of Shoalhaven area, I think just north of Curtis Island. And we were going up. We had about 10 days up there.
Yeah.
And we're going to, and we lived in New South Wales. We weren't great fishermen or anything like that, if at all fishermen. And we're going to Queensland fishing, and we're telling all our mates, we're going to Queensland fishing. You're going to Queensland? Yeah, we're going to Queensland fishing. Queensland? Mate, Queensland, geez, the fish up there, and there was this hype that it started to build around it. We're going to Queensland fishing. So much so, we thought, like, as soon as we crossed the border, that the fish just jumped out of the water and onto the boat. We're there and we're all set to go, and it was a classic. And I'm sure everyone's done there. Everyone's been there. I'm sure absolutely everyone's been in this situation of where you're sort of all the gear and no idea, right? And
I always say that about myself all of the time.
Yep. We all know it, and we're all that bloke, I reckon, deep down. Whether it's at fishing or something else, or kicking a footy, or picking up a cricket bat. And we were hopeless, mate. We didn't catch a single thing. We were hopeless to the point where it just became laughable. After every day we'd come back and just sit around the campfire, exactly like this show's all about, and having beers and just sort of laughing at each other. And I sort of held on to that for a few years, and I never forgot it. And I just thought, geez, it was just so funny how bad we were. And then that kind of grew into like a character or two characters, and these guys who, hypothetical guys who were legends, they thought they were legends, and they were sporty legends, and they go out in the boat fishing. And I guess that's really what Rex Hunt kind of, Rex Hunt as well is a character, really, when you think about it. I don't think that is necessarily, I think he played that up a lot. And look, I guess that's really where it came from. And then from there, it was just, grow on it and develop content and come up with stupid shit. And then, get a couple of people involved who people would stop and take notice. And yeah, as I said before, I was lucky enough to know Terry through, it's my wife's uncle. And then I'd met Limo through, something along the traps as well. And so I sort of sent him a message on the odd chance. I said, mate, I've got this idea, would you be interested to be a part of it? And so we caught up, and and that's really where it came from. And then sitting down and writing it just became a whole lot of fun. I would come home from work and I would just love just sitting down and just coming up with ridiculous things. So, and sometimes, here we go, we've got another one. Dan, we're going to Queensland. Just remind me if we're all going to Bonnie Doon.
Bonnie Doon, mentioned in the book. Wolf Creek, mentioned in the book. I mean, it would have taken me a lifetime to get all of these scenarios together in my head to put them into, but you've done it so well that, if you can just pick the book up at any time to any page and reread and get something else out of it.
Well, so just to go back on that, so what we're sort of talking about, it was really interesting. So I probably made up the characters, I think it would have been in 2009, maybe 2008. And so long before I met Beck. So Terry wasn't in the picture at all, but he was always an Essendon player. And that was based around, he was always Essendon and Roy was always Hawthorn. And that was because they played in the 1983 grand final. And I was born in 1983. So that's why that was chosen. And then it just so happened that I met Beck and her uncle had played in that grand final and was the captain. So it just, it couldn't have worked out any better. But so when I sort of look back now and we make the comparison and everyone sort of, people have read it and there's been a few reviews and whatnot, they've said, oh, it's the Russell Coight of fishing and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Coight hadn't actually come out yet. So I kind of take a bit of pride in that I had these characters that, I'm not saying they're anything as good as Russell Coight. Russell Coight's a legend. How good. But I'd actually made them up long before that. And, so I don't know, that's something that I kind of get
you
a bit
should be proud of it because they are great characters. And I would love to see an Australian miniseries with the stories of the boys and put them together and do a let's use Russell Coight as the example and have the boys out there doing the stuff because it is very, very funny and if that ever happened, it wouldn't be going straight to DVD. We'd have to go straight to the cinema for you, mate.
I don't know about that. Hey, I'm just going to point out here, Jared McComb has jumped on and he said, Barry and Roy do any fishing from a surf boat?
There we go. I'll bring it up for you. Yep, there we go.
Said, yeah. Now, this one here, I think this is what he's referring to. I know Jared because we rode surf boats together for many years. And so he's picked this up in the background. I like that, Cheese. Well done.
He's got another one there. He asked about the pull the bungs out of the doubles in the aquarium live tank.
Yeah, I reckon that's a goer. We could do that. We could have a floating live tank in a surf boat.
No, I think we're going to have a push. We've got Fish On's already said miniseries loves it. I think this is a real possibility for you to write a script to go out there because I can imagine it happening for all of us older guys that grew up in that environment. As you were saying, that some of the stuff you've obviously had to filter down in the book, and some of the stuff that is in there is, would only be. It's a bit like I'll use a reference here to The Simpsons that kids will find it funny but won't get the actual full gist of it.
Yeah, mate, that's a huge compliment actually. But like, I think that's kind of what I wanted to do is create something where hopefully if you just pick it up, you can have a bit of a light giggle just because there's a stupid photo in there or whatnot. But then if you actually read it, you get rewarded for reading it. I'll give you an example. And you've read this, Corey, but I want the folks at home to sort of know.
Yeah, look, I'm on the same page. I was ready to.
Oh, you go, beauty. Yeah.
Yep. So basically, you've on what are we in 23? You've got the World Association no longer competing athletes and sportsmen's award, which
the World Association of no longer competing athletes and sportsmen just happens to when you shorten it or make it an acronym, it's the word. It's the Wankers.
It's the Wankers Award, and as you can see, we'll see the golden hand up here. So obviously children wouldn't get the gist of that, but it's the pinnacle of the no longer completing athletes and sports people.
Yeah, that's the Golden Wanker Trophy, and Roy's got 7 on the mantelpiece, life-size golden hand.
Golden hands. And then you have another set of awards, which is the Australian Association of Ex-Sportsmen turned Celebrity Fishermen Awards, which is the, Andrew Eddinghausen, Rex Hunt, Barry Jeffries, Andrew Simons, Roy McCoy, Russell Coight, special mention. You've got honourable awards, for Ian Botham, and then you've got the Rising Star Awards for Patrick Dangerfield and the Arden Street Anglers.
Yeah, well, Paddy Dangerfield's a big fisherman, and he was happy to be mentioned in there. He's actually got his own podcast as well, I think, which he's doing good things with. And then the Arden Street Anglers, the boys from North Melbourne, they're mad fishermen, actually. They're very keen.
And a great bunch of footballers. They can play, but, I haven't got the list of names with me, but basically, they're the crew from Arden Street. My uncle used to drink in the pub at Arden Street and knew everyone with North Melbourne. So they have a little soft spot in my heart, North Melbourne. So
very good.
Wouldn't mind hearing from the Arden Street Anglers.
They're all touted as future members of the AAESTCF. That's the Australian Association of Ex-Sportsmen turned Celebrity Fishermen.
And it seems to be a pre-requirement these days to get on a fishing show that you had to be a sportsman of some sort. We talk about Rex Hunt, going from the persona that he showed on TV to the real-life footballer and policeman that he was, two different apples. I mean, everyone was scared of him on the football field. Big Rex was larger than life, but he made that persona in that, and really that kissing him and letting him go took fishing to a new level in Australia, and I think everyone should be thanking him for that.
It's funny you talk about the kissing and letting go there, Corey. Roy McCoy, which is Lemo's character in the book, has actually got a very long-standing feud with Rex Hunt, and the origins of it actually stem from Roy believes that he was the first to kiss the fish and throw it away, and reckons that old Rexy boy pinched his signature move and turned it into his own and made a living off it.
And this is where, as I said, you tie everything into the book so well that, even the kissing them, letting them go has a different meaning. And, it's just great to see. We've got another question here from Lisa. It is, Craig. Would you consider having a lady character too in the next book, or maybe the mini-series that we're going to get up and running? Did you ever have a lady in the actual storyline? Because I know there are ladies mentioned later in the book, and Lisa, when you get a copy of the book, there's some quite funny anecdotes of what the ladies get up to.
I would more than welcome a lady character. Absolutely. I didn't put one in this book only because just the way it sort of played out, I guess. But yeah, that'd be great, I reckon, Kalisa. That's a great idea. Why not? But geez, that means we're going to have to have a sequel, and there's a lot of pressure for that to happen.
I definitely think there should be, because you haven't had to delve into you've pretty much covered the 80s. We've still got the 90s and the noughties to go, mate.
Well, just back on the ladies now, there is a chapter on dealing with the significant other. Now, I'm not saying that is the lady. That could be.
We don't want to get into
that could be a lady dealing with the husband. But there is a chapter on dealing with the significant other and giving you a few tips on how to get around that whilst trying to plan yet another fishing trip. I'll actually show you this photo. I get a bit of a kick out of this thing. It's quite funny. So this one here, if it's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
How do we do that? Okay. So I don't know if you can see that. It's a bit dark in here.
What page is that on, mate?
That's 82.
Rightio. I'll see if I can bring it up on mine because it's a little bit lighter.
So we've got Terry Danaher there as Barry Jeffries, and he's got the boat on the trailer, and he's heading off yet another fishing trip. And here's our Mrs. Jeffries here, not too happy about that. And that sort of heads up the dealing with the significant other chapter, so you can sort of get the vibe of that one. But funnily enough, that's actually my wife there playing that character, so she makes a little cameo in the book as well.
There you go. Well done, Beck. Good job. We've got, and also the last comment on the page there is from Mrs. McCoy, Roy's wife. If that bastard goes fishing one more bloody fishing trip, it's not just all about the stories of the boys. You've tied in not tying. You've tied in different fish species. There's some new ones that I'd never heard of in the fish species.
Oh yeah, well look, we sort of hand chose, the creme de la creme of fish. You get sort of sick of hearing about all the standard ones, your flatheads and your snappers and all that sort of stuff. So I went for the slightly exotic ones, Corey. The lumberjack, cousin of the mangrove jack. That's a good one. The umbrella fish, it's got a good defense mechanism that sort of comes out, as the clouds start to appear. We've got the gumboot fish, the schnozzer, which is so every fish has a common name and then a scientific name.
And my favourite obviously was the red snapper. Now the red snapper, his scientific name was the Herschelus gibbsus. So for those guys, once again, in that era, we're going back to the cricket. Steve Waugh famously told Herschel Gibbs that he'd dropped the World Cup, and that snapper is known for getting off right at the boat, I believe.
That's the red snapper because our good friend Herschel Gibbs, he was a red nut.
Yeah, that's it.
And he dropped the World Cup. We recommend putting a line at mid-wicket.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I said. Every time I pick it up, I read another one and another little uniqueness from Australian sporting history. You've tied it all in well. We've got a question here from Bo. Bo, if you weren't on earlier, you nominated Jackson Durow for the prize pack, the Pay It Forward prize pack. Make sure you get the details to me so I can post out his prize. Bo reckons it would be good to get these book characters to do a fishing comp and hand out these trophies.
It's not a bad idea, Bo. Yeah.
Yeah, we could get a little hand made up for the wanker and nominate. Because I can tell you, on the fishing tournament scene, there's a lot of people that would probably class me as a wanker, but I'd probably find a few more that would win the award over me.
You'd fit right in with Barry and Roy, Corey.
I just love it, and as I said, it's like the calamity of my life in general and how I've been brought up, and I love the older comedy. I quite often get there on YouTube and I watch a little bit of Paul Hogan and Strop, and you sit there and you watch Delvine Delaney running around in a tight little skimpy stuff. And you just couldn't put that on TV today. It's just, it's a different era.
Yeah, mate, it is definitely like the world's come a long way, I guess, in that time across so many fronts, really, and entertainment and comedy, I guess, is probably no different. I feel a bit weird saying comedy. I'm certainly not a comedian or in that sphere at all, but
I can say it. I say to all of my guests that you don't have to blow yourself up. I'll do it for you. So we'll class in that comedy field, all right?
But yeah, well, I guess that's what the book tries to do anyway. But yeah, there's a fine line between, particularly in the modern day, being funny and offending someone. And that's particularly in print. If it's said, I think you can move on a bit quicker. Like a stand-up comedian can sort of, say something pretty outrageous. If someone kicks up a stink, get over it, move on, kind of thing. Or they call them out on it and make it even funnier. But in print, you have to be a little bit careful. And so a couple of instances actually in the book where we had to sort of pull things up a little bit. Yeah. The original Golden Wanker, instead of being a golden hand, was actually a big giant golden
rod
member. Yeah. which was pretty well. Actually, it was pretty funny until the publisher sent it to sent through a few pages to Big W to try and get it in the store, and they just happened to send that page. And
we don't want to do that.
That was about the time when I think that was about the time when we made the decision, let's make that a golden hand.
Yeah. But as I said, in the vein of comedy and everything else, people take most things the right way. I just love the shape of the hand in itself. So that'll explain to people when they get the book. They'll understand that. How'd you go? Who did all your edit, like your photoshopping?
So it was a bit of a combination. I've got really limited skills on that sort of stuff, but I tried to do as much as possible. A really great friend of my wife's, Michelle Yan, her name is. She's incredibly talented graphic designer and whatnot, and yeah, she's helped me out a lot over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, which has been great. And you know, like I've sort of said this before, it's a really abstract thing to pitch to someone, and it still is now. And sort of trying to explain this idea. And at least now I've got this to say, oh, you know, this is my book, The Idiot's Guide to Angling. People open it up and they go, oh, mate, that's unreal. I can see what you're talking about. Try doing it when you don't have any pictures, you don't have Terry or Limo, you don't actually have any. All it is an idea in your head. And so I'm saying to Yanas, okay, I've got this idea for, you know, let's say the cogfish. You know, it's a fish, but in the guts of the fish, we want like a cog, like which comes from an engine. You know, and the whole, and then I'd have to explain the sort of the joke or the gag to her. You know, the whole gag is here that, oh, there it is. There you go. Yeah, you know, the whole gag is that in the top spots of the book, the Bermuda Triangle's in there as one of the top spots to fish, you know, in the world, and the Bermuda Triangle's rich with Atlantic cogs. You know, and this is what I want it to look like. And you know, I've got this ridiculous enthusiasm, and mate, she was unbelievable. She understood every concept, loved it, laughed at it, which made me feel really good because, you know, like you sort of think, you start to go, I'm a bit of an idiot here. No one understands what I'm on about. And then when it comes together, you know, you get a finished product. And, yeah, and, you know, I've had so many people go, mate, that's a pisser.
It is a pisser. And I have to say, like, in all honesty, I've seen the sponsored ad on Facebook, and I followed it, and I liked it and shared it because that's what you're supposed to do with, you know, to see stuff. And I looked it up, and then I got on your website and had a contact page. So I sent you a quick email, and you rang me back and said, yeah, you'd love to come on the show. And I was just blown away straight away. But then we had a delay with the book, and the book turned up, and I looked at it, and I flicked through the first couple of pages. I've gone, this is not a book. This is a magazine. And I sort of put it down. I went, oh, what am I going to talk about tonight? And then I picked it up again, and I read the first page, and then I started to laugh, and I just couldn't put it down. It's very hard to explain the concept of what it is.
It really is, mate. But what I will say is, I think I'd like this to be true. Maybe I'm just, you know, a bit delusional. But if you read it, you get rewarded.
Yes. Yeah.
You'll actually, you know, there'll be at least a few moments there where you'll sort of go, that's stupid. And you know what? And I made a bit of a goal that was a chuckle every page. You know, you don't have to be rolling on the floor laughing, that sort of stuff. But if you just get a chuckle every page, I gave it to some pretty random people and said, what do you think of this? You know, and I'd just give it to them, didn't explain it, what it was, and then just stand there and watch and just to see their reaction. And the biggest sort of one, which I got a tick, was when people would go, you know, and that's all the reaction. It was like,
yeah, that's it. That is dead right. As I said, I picked it up and then
that's pretty good. Yeah. And I'm like, cool, they get it. Yeah. So,
yeah. What was I doing in 1983? Yeah,
that's good. I like that. That's good. Yeah. Good stuff. But I've got a couple of questions here.
Yeah, here we go. Luke has written, I think the Bachelor in Paradise participants could learn a thing or two about landing a catch from this book.
He's obviously working Bachelor in Paradise.
So he's obviously probably watching on his phone, and he's got the TV in front of him. Jeremy, regular on the show. Did you contact anyone that knocked you back?
No. I've got Dick Johnson in the book, who was, once again, fantastic. I was really fortunate enough to talk on the phone for 30 or 40 minutes one day with Dick, and just, once again, like, people say never meet your heroes, right? I've been really lucky with not that Dick Johnson's my hero, but he's a classic,
he's an Australian icon,
iconic person, and he just was up for the chat. He was great, right? But the funny thing was with this was, so I'll explain the story. So part of Roy McCoy's backstory, he's a legend sportsman. He's done everything. He's played bloody Sheffield Shield, AFL, NRL. He's his parents both played in a VFL grand final, AFL grand final. Roy and Joy, Reg and Joy McCoy. Now they got Roy McCoy, and so he's done everything. And a part of that was he co-drove, and it was originally for Jack Brabham in the 1983, everything had 1983, Targa Tasmania Rally. And, of course, he was the navigator. And old Roy struggles with reading a map, doesn't he? So he sent Sir Jack, left instead of right, and they went down an embankment into a ditch, as the story goes kind of thing. And then, of course, so I was very naive when I first started this book, and I had all these people in this book, left, right, and centre, And then I learnt that, you have to actually ask them. Yeah. You have to get their permission. And if you want to use any photos, you have to have the rights to use photos. So herein lies we've just opened a can of worms. So I said about it. I was on a mission. Yeah, this is going to happen. I'm going to contact all of these people. This is going to happen in my lifetime. I'm only 30. How old am I? 36, 37 in 2 days' time. And I'm as proud as punch to have done this now, because I honestly thought this was going to take a lifetime to do, the way I've gone about this book. But sorry, I digress. I'm good at that. So I had Jack Brabham in there, and I said about getting onto the Brabhams because Sir Jack's passed away. So and this is just Googling, just getting on Facebook, getting on Instagram, contacting Brabham Automotive, sending emails, this, that, the other, like just hours and hours worth of work. And finally, I got to the point where the publishing deadline was coming up, and I hadn't heard back from the Brabhams. And I didn't feel comfortable putting him in the book, particularly because he passed away, in a scenario where, he crashed a car, but it was Roy. The jokes are always on the guys. They're never on the guests. They're always on the guys. And I said to Beck, I said, geez, I'm going to have to go elsewhere. And I started thinking, Alan Jones, and then I used Beck as a test case for everything. I'm sure most of us are the same. Yeah, and she's got a really great knowledge of things, but not motor racing. Yeah. And so, and I said, Alan Jones, Australian Formula One world champion. She had no idea who Alan Jones was. So I started rattling off other names. Well, I won't even go there. I was going to say, look, Peter Brock would have been amazing. Yeah. And I shouldn't have said that, because that's not even funny given the scenario it was going to be in. But that actually comes up later when I spoke to Dick. And finally we said, Dick Johnson, hey, I think he's accessible. I think he's going to be more accessible than the Brabhams, So I get on to Dick, and how that was just through, same again, just emailing, Facebook, just being relentless. And finally he calls me up, and I said, oh, hi, look, I was actually in a meeting at work, and I stepped out. I don't know why. I stepped out, and I said, oh, hi, it's Drew. And he said, oh, g'day, it's Dick Johnson. I was, taken aback. G'day, Anyway, so we chatted for ages, and he was the same, mate. He said, yeah, bloody oath, unreal, love it. No worries. What do you need? And I said, look, I just need a few photos of you so we can Photoshop. So, so essentially what we've got is photos of all these people and photos of all sorts of different situations, and I've Photoshopped Roy and Barry the whole way through. And it's kind of meant to be Photoshopped a little bit. So so you can kind of tell, like, anyway, so Dick went ahead with that. But of course, the very next day, David Brabham writes back to me and says, yeah, mate, no worries, sounds good. I've talked to the family. We're more than happy to for you to use it. And I was like,
I've already said yay to Dick.
I've already said yay to Dick. So it was like, thanks, mate. And I was like, he'll never know.
He won't say it.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a bit of fun. But who else?
I suppose that while we're there, I'll bring the next question up because it probably leads into that, or might lead you into the next one. When Matthew's asked, "What's the most awkward moment with the celebrity in the book?"
Jeez, there hasn't been too many awkward moments, to be honest.
Well, obviously, I didn't click until you just said it. With Peter Brock being the superstar that he was, to that to me, I would have just been straight on, blah blah blah. Yep, ring up Peter Brock, and how unsincere that would have come across.
Yeah, actually, that was just tell me if I'm going, blabbing on here, and we can move on to something else. But when I spoke with Dick, I actually sent him through the story and how it was going to be presented, and I didn't even consider it. And he came back to me and said, "Mate, I love it, but do you think because it was down a ditch and into a tree was the wording?"
Yeah.
And he said, given that I've had a long time rivalry with my great friend Peter Brock, and that's how he passed away, I don't think it would be, I think a lot of people would take offense to it. And I felt really embarrassed. There you go. That's the awkward moment, Matthew. And I genuinely felt embarrassed because that was a bit poor. And look, he was cool. No worries. I just came back and I said, Dick, I'm so sorry. You're 100% right. Look, let's just say, something. And he said, yeah, that's fine, mate. Just, we'll go into a ditch or something. Don't worry about it. And that's what it was. So
I love the old footage of Dick Johnson racing around Bathurst and the old XD Falcon with the window down and the arm out the window and talking on the radio, just a cracker. It's just such, and that's what these boys are like, Aussie icon.
True blue Falcon and all that sort of stuff. Oh.
Yeah. All of what I grew up with. Now, Simon's going on here a little bit further with our thing. He reckons the book has to be made into a movie. It would definitely be up there with The Castle. But in my eyes, much better. Good Australian comedy. Look at that for a call.
Simon, love your work. Yes, you're a great man. But we'll just see how the book sells first. I like it though. I like where your head's at.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We've got to push for these things.
All great things start with a really stupid idea.
Oh, look, every great thing that I've ever done in my life, I think the words before it have been "hold my beer." So
Yeah, mate, that's about sums it up. Hey, I'll just tell you another one quickly. I got Matthew Hayden's number, and I called him because I was hoping that he and Andrew Simons would be in the book.
Yep.
And I called him, and it was like a Monday afternoon or something. And I just thought, he's probably not going to answer his phone. He's Matthew Hayden. This is going to be a tough gig here. Just picks up. Hey, g'day. Haydo here. Haydo, how you going, mate? I just sort of went into the sort of quickly explaining, I'm Drew, writing this book and would love if you'd be in it, no worries, mate, and another example of a great Australian who was just, you would love to go fishing with this bloke. We spoke for about 50 minutes on the phone and he was just up for the chat. He was just, bang, and I said, I sort of wanted to put Roy in there as well, Andrew Simons.
Yep.
And sort of there's a bit of a gag around you boys, skipping training to come out fishing with Barry and Roy. And he goes, mate, did I ever tell you about that one? and proceeds to tell me the story about Andrew Simon, the famous story in which now
famous story, yes,
missing training and then subsequently, basically ending his career in the Australian cricket team, and and he sort of just goes, did I ever tell you about that one? And I'm kind of thinking, hey, when the fuck would you have told me about that one?
I'm just ringing you.
Yeah. And I was lapping it up, just going, this is the greatest day ever. I'm talking to one of my idols on the phone, and he's just telling me yarns. And yeah, he proceeds and tells me the story. I won't go into it now, but
we forget that these people are still human. You know, put them up on a pedestal. I can remember, you know, I moved to Queensland and lived in Queensland for a long time. I can remember watching the news and Matthew Hayden and Andrew Simons. I can't remember who the third one was. They went out through the Gold Coast Seaway and sank their boat.
Yes.
Swam back to shore. It was front page news, and you know, just amazing, you know, characters in Australian sport.
Yeah, you know, interestingly, I've heard them talk about this. That was on Boxing Day. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. It was off North Stradbroke Island, and it was on Boxing Day. Let's just say 2003. I don't know the exact date, but the following year. So they weren't in the Australian Test team then. The following year, they were both in the Australian Test team, and I think they might have both made centuries in that test at the MCG. Yeah. And I heard them talk about 1 year ago, we were swimming back because our boat had capsized.
Yeah.
And actually that inspired a bit of a story, a little bit, not heaps, because, you know, their particular circumstance there wasn't, you know, really great. But we go back to the accidental history of boating of Roy McCoy's boats. And, the Roy McCoy one. I'll read it if that's all right. So, a victim of the fast leak effect, which is discussed in earlier in the chapter, due to forgetting to put the bungs in, resulting in capsizing and a long swim across Moreton Bay, Queensland. Guest of Roy's that day, Duncan Armstrong, impressively set the record for the 8-kilometre swim home to raise the alarm in known bull shark territory. And we've got another photoshopped special here.
Yep. Sitting on the front of the boat, on the bow.
And you can see the little fin just cruising around in there somewhere. But and that, you know, that's pretty stupid and whatnot. But that's kind of where that idea came from, was Haydo and Simo. I always thought it was in Moreton Bay, which maybe Stradbroke Island. Did Moreton Bay. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so we sort of, you know, ripped that off a little bit and put that in there, which was a bit of fun, and photoshopped Limo sitting on the boat there.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, if you're inside listening, mate, you've got to send me through the postcode winner so I can give away the first copy of the book, please, mate. So get that through to me. Hey, listen, we've got another question from Bo. Was there anything that didn't make the book that you wish you put in after seeing the reactions you got from the book, and now you think you should have put it in?
There's always little things that pop up, and now that people know that I've written a book, they are very forthcoming with, you know, stories or anecdotes or whatnot, and sometimes I think, oh, that's a ripper, that should have gone, that would have slotted right in. But then probably the only other thing was I was really wary because Terry's Beck's uncle, my wife's uncle, that I didn't want to use his celebrity to, you know, to promote my book. So I was really weary about using him and being really gracious about that. So I didn't, like, there's the Essendon sort of strip on the front cover, which goes with his character. But apart from that, I didn't really weave it in too much throughout the rest. I mean, you know, in his backstory, there is a little bit. But I kind of thought afterwards, a lot of people who are Essendon fans have come up to me and they loved it, you know, and I thought, I could have really just gone to town on that and milked it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's about it. But I mean, it gets to a point where, you know, you draw the line and you sort of put the polish on it, and you've got to be happy with it. Otherwise, it's like everything in life, you know, where do you stop? Like when you're renovating your house, why don't we just go another metre out? You know, you got to draw the line and be happy with it and just sit back and go, yep.
You draw a line at the boundary line of the next person's house, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of houses in Melbourne, I'm pretty sure the gutters are hanging over each other.
That's right. And then there's a point too when your wife sort of says, you know, I wouldn't mind actually, you know, one night just having a conversation with you instead of you just working on your book for, you know, the rest of our lives. So yeah, that's a fair call. All right, I'll finish it up soon.
Beck, we might have started something here when he's got to start doing screenplays and stuff like that. So you just have to be careful on that. Hey, listen, we've got the Harry has sent me through the postcode winner. So the postcode winner is from St Arnaud 3478. That's Simon Burke. So Simon, if you are still on, send me through your details, personal address, your address and that through as a personal message, and I will get you your own copy of the book out to you this week. So well done.
Hey, let me know where you live too, and we'll get you up. I'll send you up a stubby holder.
Excellent. So I'll just write that in here. I will forward when Simon gives me the address. I will forward it on to you if you want, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, happy to.
Simon Burke.
Hey, someone else has put Roy. Oh, okay. Andrew Simons tells the story in his Howie Games podcast. Worth a listen. Yeah, that's a great podcast, isn't it?
There we go. What was that? Yeah, there we go.
And he was much the same. He just as dry as bloody something that's dry, and it was unbelievable. Like I had to pinch myself because growing up, I think everyone can share that we had that moment where all you want to do is wear a baggy green, no matter how hopeless you were.
Yeah.
And that was a cool moment to chat with those guys. So yeah.
Simon's still on there. He's got a.
No worries, mate.
Yeah, you got to keep something for the next book Jeremy's written. So that's excellent. We've actually hit an hour, so that's really cool. I've got a couple more questions to go through here, but make sure we've still got one copy of the book to give away, and I wanted to go away to a question. There has been some good ones asked so far tonight, but we'll get some more questions in. We normally do when I say I'm going to call it up. So, look.
Are we capped at an hour? We can keep going? Or?
No, we can go as long as we want, mate. As long as you want to talk, and I believe from our 3 conversations we've had together that you're not lacking on the talking front.
Well, I've had a couple, so.
And obviously, for people that don't know, you are in lockdown in Melbourne, so you're putting up with it stuck at home. You're obviously in that bad environment down here. We're only a couple of days. Regional Victoria from maybe getting off the leash, so you've done it hard over the last couple of weeks, or 6 weeks?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we're stinging to get up across the border and up and visit family and whatnot, New South Wales, and I'd love to get up to Queensland as well and get out on a boat or something. Be nice, but look, it is what it is. You got to do your bit, and that's all right. I've used the time wisely to get this project done, which has been great. And
which will lead into a question we've got here. Jeremy's asked, how long did it take to put the book together?
So I came up with the idea in 2007 with that fishing trip. I did a lot of work. I actually wrote a lot of it in 2009, the bulk of it. I was living overseas, and I wrote a lot of it while I was traveling around. And then I brought it back, and sort of, life sort of kicks in, and I put it down for 3-6 months at a time, 9 months even. And then I would every now and then get the itch again, and not the itch. I always had the itch, but I would just be like, oh, my book. I've got to work on my book. And then I do more and more and more, and then I guess it sort of came to a point where I spoke with Tez about it, and he was all in. And there's a section in the back of the book, and I'd urge anyone to, if you guys jump on and buy it, and I hope you've enjoyed tonight, and I hope you do jump on and buy one.
Totally recommend you buy one, and priced really, really. It's just, what have you got it currently selling at, mate, before we put it in the recycle bin?
$20, mate. Yeah, $20.
$20,
Yeah. Send it back. I'll try and resell that one.
That's half a packet of durries. Everyone will be around that. You can go without a few darbs for the day.
Oh, yeah. Look, I was just happy to get my book out there. But to finish off answering that question, I wrote a lot of it in and out, and then it got to a point, and I got Tez on board, and then I got Limo on board, and it was a bit of a Mexican standoff because I had these guys committed, so we were ready to go to the next step. But I didn't have a publisher, so I didn't want to go and get all these photos with them until I had a publisher, because I was a bit green. I've never done this before. I sort of wanted a bit of a helping hand or a guiding arm. Now, I'll just go back one step. I'd spoken to a lady who had released a lot of books, in the book industry and whatnot, and I sort of not pitched the idea. I was just talking casually with her and just told her my idea, and said, do you think anyone would pick this up? Like, where do I go now? And she said, look, I think the idea's got merit. It's really good. Like, I can see exactly what you're trying to do. But to be honest, unless you have celebrities attached or some names attached, you're not going to get anywhere with it.
Yep.
You're gonna print 10 or 15 copies and hand them out to your friends. And so that's when the turning point became, okay, I need a couple of names. So I sort of, I met up with people and tried to, and Limo and Terry came on board and all that sort of stuff. And then so to go back to where I was, and then there was that sort of moment where, I don't know whether to go forward with these guys, because if we have to undo stuff, I can't ask them to do it again. So I have to go and get a publisher, and then I got onto Australian Fishing Network. They do the fishing show on.
Yep. Everyone that's on here, obviously, most of the guys that are on my show will know Bill Klassen. They'll know the AFN fishing show on the TV. They'll know the Freshwater Fishing magazine.
Yeah.
So the guys have jumped on board with you.
Yeah, correct. And so I met up and spoke with Bill, and Bill's pretty old school. He gets it, and he kind of was the same. He goes, oh yeah, that's in PC. I reckon it's cool. No worries, we'll do it. And so I was like, all right, sweet, that's all I need. And he said, we'll go out in the boat one day, you organise them, and we'll go out and take some photos and whatnot. And then there we go, and away it went. So it's been a 12, 13-year project, but it's really come on really quickly in the last 9 months.
I'm just hoping that it doesn't take this long to get the movie out, because I'm really looking forward to that, mate. Hey, I have to say, you're quite blasé when you say Tez all the time. Obviously an idol of mine growing up. I lived through the Essendon Hawthorn dramas of the 80s with the back-to-backs both ways and whatnot. I actually met Terry, and this is my funny story for you. I actually met Terry, would have been about around the same era on the middle of the MCG. I was playing in what was back then the Big M Little League.
Yeah, right.
And it was an Essendon Carlton game at the MCG. And, after playing, we used to play the full ground back then, not the 5 little grounds. And I got best on ground, so I got to shake Terry's hand and Timmy Watson and all the boys. And, I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. And it made me a through and through Essendon supporter. I've had a hard 20 years living in Queensland without them doing well, but I'd like to say that next year's our year, and we'll just keep saying that until it happens.
That's a cool story. That's a great story. Yeah. Tez is, as I said, I'm really fortunate to have met him through Beck. I mean, I don't look at him as Terry, and that was quite a while ago. Like he's just Uncle Terry kind of thing for Beck.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, mate, as far as blokes go, fair dinkum, he is just one of the greats. He is unbelievable. Best man ever to have a beer with. He just rattles off story after story after story after story. It is brilliant. You can just sit there all night and be entertained by Tez, and it's kind of fitting that he's the Barry Jeffries, because he or one of these characters, because that's literally what he's like. He's just the epitome of that classic 80s footy player, great man to have a beer with, and he was all in from the start. I called him and said, Tez, would you mind being a part of it? Yeah, absolutely, Drew. What do you need? Let's do it, 100%. And would call me going, what's happening with this book? When are we doing it?
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, and look, as I said, you look up at your idols all the time, and you forget that they're humans and they have lives and whatnot. But the whole Danaher family, through everything that they've done, through all the stories that I've heard, are just down to earth. Terry. Was he or was he not a window washer at some stage?
Yeah. He's still
the
cleaning business now.
Yeah. So from back in those days to now with the whole MCG cold winter's day dunking in the ice. With everything that's gone on, they've just grown that whole thing. So you can't mention the Danahars without fight MND scenario.
Yeah, it goes with the territory, and that's what my wife does. She's basically devoted her life, I guess, and her career now to working on that and working side by side with her dad. And I'm in absolute awe of what she does and a passion for that, and that's we're not here to talk about that, but
no, but it has to be mentioned that this family is just one of those rock solid, great Australian families, and I'm putting it out there. Make sure, Tez, that you if you watch this at any stage, that you make sure that Joe stays at Essendon for me, because I've got to put that out there. But enough on the footy. Let's get back to a question, and I've done my stuff. Dale Sinclair, he said when lockdown's over, mate, come up to Brisbane. He'll take you fishing. Dale was
fantastic.
Dale was on a couple of weeks ago, and he does know his stuff. So hook up with him on Facebook if you need a guide when you're up there.
I'm a horrible fisherman. I love it, but I'm horrible.
That's all right. We all pretend we're good at it, but it's only the few that always catch them. So it's all good. Bo's asked another question here. So your love of fishing is just like the rest of us. What's your favourite fish to catch, and what's your bucket list fish?
Good question. I went out. I'm not like a bucket list. Like, I'd love to catch this. Although, mind you, it'd be pretty cool to catch a GT. I've never done that.
Yeah.
I've probably a lot of the fishing I've done has been down the south coast. I mean, a lot of kingfish, so yellow kingfish, which are great to catch.
Yeah.
Up north. Last year we were up there, and I got a really nice coral trout, which was. Cooking wise was bloody beautiful, and that was a real pleasure. I didn't get a red emperor, but a guy on the boat did, and that was a cracker. It was a beautiful fish. But I'd like to catch a big sort of game fish, like a marlin or a sailfish or something like that. That'd be cool.
There you go. And we had a guest on a few months back that actually caught a sailfish on fly. Now Dale's actually.
Dale's comment a lot.
Dale's a bit of a card, so he's put up here, fishing is like sex, mate. Even if you're lousy at it, it's still good. So maybe you can coin that for the movie. And what have we got else here?
I'm going to have to join in every week. This is good fun, guys.
Midge Frankie, sensational book, so many laughs, a must read. Well done, Drew.
We're talking up now. I hope everyone's going to enjoy it.
I said that's my job to talk it up, and you've just got to sit there and agree with it. What else have we got here? Simon Burke. We do need that movie out to get some smiles on our faces after this COVID. Good luck and well done. So
yeah, it was sorry to cut you off, Corey.
Right.
There was the question. I've been doing this for trying to get this across going for 13 years, I guess, and I've picked the only year where there's a global pandemic to release a book, which probably not the best idea, but the other side of that is that, hey, we need a bit of a laugh at the moment, and I think we do, and I think we all need to.
Oh, there is no doubt that the stresses throughout Australia and what's not. I've actually set myself a little goal behind the scenes now. I'm old school, and I use social media for my Corey's Dam fishing and stuff like that. But I found it to become very negative through this whole COVID campaign. Yep. So I've set myself a goal of 10 10 nice comments a day.
Oh, yeah.
On random shit on Facebook.
Yeah,
So it doesn't matter what it is. If somebody's whinging about some cop thing or whatever, I'm just trying to put random things out. So I ask everybody out there, if you can try it for a day, I bet you can't accomplish 10. You know, random posts that come up on your Facebook, just say something nice to somebody. And, you know, I think the world will be a better place. We are doing it tough down here, but the whole of Australia is doing it tough. We're going to have economy problems. We're going to do whatnot. This book here will give you a laugh. There's, you know.
Yeah, it's only $20, and we just wanted to price it so everyone can enjoy it. You know, it's just about getting my book out there and having a crack at something. Essentially, you know, it's been so much fun, and doing stuff like this is great. You know, I wouldn't have met you otherwise, Corey, and you know, being able to. Yep, it's just have a laugh with all these guys, and as I said, I'm hoping to jump on here again. This is good stuff.
Yeah, no, we're on, as I said, Monday night every week. It's Chewin the Fat with the Cap. It was designed way back in March when I just wanted to take the piss out of a few mates, and I was missing all my fishing mates in Queensland. I was stuck in Victoria. So this was my cure to get through COVID, and it's turned out to be a very big chunk of my week just to get one live. I don't think a lot of people understand how hard it is to run a live show on a weekly basis. A lot of people have come on during the COVID and started a live show, but they haven't lasted. There's over 20 hours a week worth of work that just goes into the show alone. And as I said, like you've done with trying to get guests on, you know, you're always on there trying to get the next guest and whatnot. But it is so much fun. It has helped me mentally get through a stage. I've never gone this long without fishing regularly, and it was really hurting me. But the show and the comments and the jokes and meeting new people like yourself, it's just got me through. It's just been great.
Yeah, cool. No, well said, mate. It's good.
So we've got the book May Cure COVID. We're getting a few last comments in here.
Russell, I like that. Rusty.
Yeah, we've got Russell Crowe to read it for your audio book. There you go.
It's yeah, someone said that to me, mate. We need this as an audio book, but there's so many pictures in it, and it's largely, you know, based around the pictures. So I just don't know if it would work.
Look, if anyone wants to know, it is like a Playboy magazine. So, you know, you do read the articles, but you need the pictures to go with them, mate. So. Look, I could keep you here all night. I'm loving chatting with you, and we will get you on. I reckon we might give it a month or two to see how the sales are gone, and we'll get on and have another chat. You know,
Christmas, I know. I'm sort of getting the book out there now, and you know, trying to get a few sales through the website and whatnot. But I think, the publisher's doing their thing, and you know, I think they're sort of talking about trying to. Or having chats with BCF and Anaconda and stuff like that. So we'll see how we go with it all. You know, I'd love that, but I don't particularly have any great expectations outside of, like I said, I just really want to, you know, get it out to everyone and put some smiles on faces and have a few people sort of do that.
I appreciate. Yeah, that is it. That is the exact way you should look at the book. You might. Some people. I got some belly laughs. I did, but there was a lot of them, and that's exactly right. That I just had that little giggle to myself, and that was, you know, and I've picked it up and continue to do that. I can't rave about it enough. It's not because you're a guest. Look, I shoot straight from the hip. If it was shit, I'd be telling you, mate. So, you know, I just love it. You know, fly fishing, you know, you just pull up a page here and, you know, we're talking about fly fishing. There is just so many different avenues of comedy in it.
Only need one page, that chapter.
Yeah, and that it is just great. And I want you to pick out the question that you think should win the copy of the book, mate. So if you want to take some time and go through a few of those questions and come up with somebody's name for us that should win the book. And don't forget that Dale Sinclair with the sex one, he's already got a copy of the book, so don't waste it on him. All right, so you have a look through that. People, get out there. I can't recommend enough the Idiot's Guide to Angling and Dangling. Drew Howell has done a wonderful job. It's published through the AFN network, and you can jump on his webpage, which is anglindangling.com.au. It is in the comments, so if you go back through the comments, and my partner's just got on there, the fly fishing page cracked her up immensely. So that was her laugh.
What about the ice fishing?
The ice fishing. There is just so much. I could continue to talk for another hour about different things in the book, but then nobody will go out and buy it. We've talked it all. So have you got a question there that you want to give this book away to?
You pick one, Corey.
You want me to pick one?
Yeah, you pick one. Yeah.
I was thinking back there that I was going to.
I really appreciate the questions, everyone. And some really great questions too, and sort of stuff which has just happened throughout the course of putting the book together, but I've never really spoken about it, which was, quite nice, and telling those stories, talking to Ado and stuff like that. It's a nice memory, actually. So
there we go. I'm gonna give it to David Wally. Damn, it was good. Queensland just reminds me of going to Bonnie Doon. So with Bonnie Doon mentioned in the book. So David, if you can get a hold of me, I will send you up a copy of the book. Thank you for your questions. So well done, David. And don't forget, Simon, get me your details through my Facebook page. Just personal message me. And Bo, if you can get me the details of the young fellow, what was his name, Jackson DeRoe. He won the prize pack from last week's competition. Don't forget to jump on next week. We've got a massive announcement going on next week. It'll be the biggest, look, we'll say it's the biggest thing since sliced bread in the fishing industry. It is absolutely huge. For my tiny little show to give this next week, but I've got to keep it under wraps until then. So you have to get on 8 p.m. next week and watch what is going to be Pay It Forward on steroids. The Pay It Forward campaign, I've got bucket loads of gear here that I'm due to give away in the next couple of weeks. So I'm still looking for some charities. I've been in contact with the Australian Veterans Fishing Club to give some of the lures to those guys. We've got a group down at Frankston that we've had on the show before that will give some of the lures. I've literally got thousands of dollars worth of lures that other fishermen have donated to me to give away to other people. So jump on next week to see what's happening with that, and we're going on steroids. But for now, Drew, thank you very much for coming on tonight. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to share it around. Get yourself a copy of the book. I'm raving about it because it is pretty good. But listen, guys, we're going to call it a night. So what will we'll use a Rex Hunt saying, thank your mother for the rabbits, and we'll talk to everyone next week.
Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed it.